my name is Nabiri and it's time for another Synth Saturday. For today we're going to continue with the build-up from our track one more time that we've been mixing down. Now, as you probably noticed when you watched last week's video, there were some technical issues with the audio and I hope to fix them right now. But that means that I already did some mixdown work before this video because I didn't notice it when I was shooting the last recording material. So it might be that I've done some mixing down beforehand, but we're just gonna strip down the effects and we're gonna do everything together like we should do it. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to add these sounds that really add to the atmosphere of the build-up, so that all the sounds that need to be playing in the background are there. And after that we're going to work on the percussion. So let's first add these two sounds. And this one is a guitar. And yeah, just have a listen for it. What channel is it? It's 18. It's this sound. There's a nice guitar. And we're gonna get rid of this EQ that was on there, and I'm just gonna take away the reverb. And I'm gonna leave this one on here because it's going to be at the end when the guitar is playing under the drop. So for the EQing of this guitar, let's just have a listen. Yeah, all this body underneath here, or all this sound underneath here, we don't need that. And let's just put it in the right place with the volume, with the fader first of all. So let's see where we can put this. I think we can do right now because all the plugs of the snares from the guitar sound are a little bit louder than the body of that guitar, is we can kind of compress this or saturate this so that it has a little bit less of a transient. So I'm gonna just put a Saturn on here, just a clean tube, so you don't really get saturation, but the dynamics are gonna be a little bit more squashed if you turn it to the right over here. Yeah, I like that. And let's see if we can kind of put this in the right volume right now. I think this works. Let's just put some reverb on there. And because you can't see this again, because my cam is in the way, I'm putting it up like this. And now it's also playing behind the melody, so I want to be sure that the volume over there is right as well. Maybe we would need to make a little bit of an automation for the volume of the guitar. Just a tiny bit, just a real small, tiny automation on here. It's just a little bit too loud for the melody, but I also think it would be nice to have a little bit of delay on this guitar. This works, and now I'm gonna open up a delay wherever I have space left. Over here, open my basic delay channel, and we're gonna put 18 through that delay. Let's solo it out first just to make sure that we get the right drive with the delay, and that it's loud enough, and that sort of thing. So when I put delay on a send, I don't leave the amount at this far. I'm normally keeping it up here, maybe a bit more, a bit less, just tweak it around a little bit over here, because otherwise the delay is gonna take over the entire sound. No, we don't need anything of that. Maybe we need a little bit more on the send. And the reason I don't just pull up the feedback is because if we give it too much feedback, all that delay is just going to play over the drop if we don't watch out for that. And now let's see how it sounds in the track. Nice, so we got this sound mixed in, and yeah, let's do this other one over here. 22. What kind of sound is this? Okay, so this is a nice choir and it has some reverb on there through the send. I'm just gonna take away this EQ and put it to the normal volume, and we're just gonna mix this in. First we're gonna do the EQing, just to make sure that we don't have the rubbish that we don't need. And now we're gonna place the volume at the right spot, and then we're gonna give it some reverb. So get all the other sounds in here. I like this spot. Maybe we're gonna do it a little bit more quiet. Maybe we're gonna pull it up a little bit, but I think it just needs to drown in reverb. So we're gonna open this up around this way, maybe a little bit more even. So that's nice, and now we got all the sounds for the atmosphere of the build-up, and now we're gonna work on the percussion. And for this percussion, or for this build-up, and every build-up that I'm making, I'm always having some automation on all these sounds actually. So mainly the volume of the sounds that make the body of the build-up or the percussion. I'm just muting them or trying to reduce the gain as the build-up gets higher, because it's gonna build tension anyways. But if you can get that build-up a little bit more soft, then the drop is gonna be a lot louder for when the track is gonna get mastered. And I've done this already. I've done this before when I noticed the audio and the video weren't in sync. So yeah, basically all the sounds that we're gonna put in this build-up right now is just gonna be a little bit more quiet, so that when that drop comes, it's just more heavy. Just the drop comes in more heavy. Oh, we still got this pluck to do, so let's do this pluck. 23. I'm gonna take away all the reverb and delete the EQ. Pull up the volume. So this is a nice arpeggiated plug. Yeah, let's just EQ it. And now we're gonna get all these sounds in there, make sure that it's on the right volume, and then we're gonna add a reverb to it. And again, I'm just gonna end up with around about halfway to the Synth for the reverb. I think that's going to be nice is if we're gonna pan this plug a little bit. So I like to use Pancake for this, and Pancake is just going to automatically pan from the left to the right, and we're going to do this really slow or really fast, just what you like. But I think per count from the left to the right is going to be quite nice. So let's do it like this. The plug is now panning from left to right, and that's just giving a little bit more stereo and space to the mix. And let's see if we want that in the break as well. We do want it, but maybe a little bit less. Yes, that works. So now we're on to the percussion. So with the percussions on buildups, you're gonna get snares, you're gonna get kick drums, just stuff that's gonna build tension towards the drop. And the thing we're gonna start off with is the snare. And this snare is just what takes the most amount of effects on there just to get it right. I'm getting my snare sounds, the normal snare sounds and the normal clap sounds, I'm getting them out of Drumazon. So the benefit of Drumazon is that it plays like the TR-909 from Roland, I think it was. And it's just making the sound a little bit more natural by playing with the volume and the sound of that snare a little bit, so it sounds more human. But that also means that we do need to compress this and saturate this to get it a little bit more body and a little bit more nice. So yeah, what I do on here is I'm just gonna get an EQ, and we're gonna cut, of course, what we don't need, but we're gonna boost a little bit with the nice frequencies of the snare. So let's get the snare. So I'm boosting a little bit of that body of the snare. Maybe reduce the high end a tiny bit, doesn't matter too much. Now I'm gonna get a soft clipper and just open this up. Now this sounds louder, but it's just raising too much in volume, so it doesn't finish the sound yet. And then I'm gonna get a Saturn. And what the Saturn is gonna do, it's gonna saturate it a little bit. I'm gonna play with this dynamics knob again and just squash the sound a little bit more. Now the drive is a little bit too much. I just find that if you don't really cut the highs of that snare, it's just going to be a little bit too crispy. So that's why I just reduce it a little bit. And as you see from the movement from this volume on the gain on here, it's just going to go from through the red all the way to the yellow again. So it's quite a big balance difference in the peak of the snare, but the loudness isn't going to change much, and that's what we want. So right now it sounds like this. I actually think that with the Saturn on there, it's gonna be louder, and it just has less output, so you can make your track louder in general. And then I like to finish this up with a little bit of VC160, and this is just a compressor that's just really snappy, and I like that. Let's make sure that it doesn't throw away all our loudness. It just gives a little bit of snap to that snare. And then if you want to, you can still clean this up a little bit with EQ afterwards. So this is how I would process my snares for my build-ups. And now the benefit of doing this snare channel strip is you can save this and you can just put it on your snares in your next track and just have your snares done in and yeah, you can just go on with the next percussion element. And another benefit of this is that when you have a clap, you can actually just take the channel strip from your snare. So we're gonna take this and put this on the channel strip of our clap, and our clap is over here. And what this just does is it boosts a little bit of the wrong frequencies for the clap. So we're gonna change up this EQ a little bit. Maybe boost a bit over here. And that's it. And you can just have your clap done in just 2 seconds as well. So I really recommend you just do this one channel strip. Might take a little bit of time, but in the end it's just going to be worth it. You're just going to save this and you're just going to pop it on there, and your snares and claps are going to be done in literally 1 second. So now we got our clap that's playing under here. So let's balance out this clap. And now we're going to continue with the club kick that we're putting in the build-up. And this one is just a little bit of a pain in the ass because I made this track a little while ago. I decided to layer 2 club kicks and make it one. And that's just, it was a good idea at the time, but nowadays I would just find a better club kick sample and put it in there and don't mind it too much. But yeah, since we're going to mix this down, we're just gonna take away all the effects. And I'm putting this balance on here because this balance is moving somewhere over here for the volume. We're gonna get these to 0 again. And we're just gonna see how we can make this work. So we've routed these two into a bus. And now we need to balance them out. So we got this one, and this one's panned a little bit to the right. So I'm just gonna put this through mono, because that kick's just gonna be fitting the mix better if it's just in the center. And we have this one. Let's just take away a little bit of that. Yeah, just that low end is just not needed. And we're just going to glue these two together with a little bit of compression. And maybe if we want to, we can put some Saturn on here and just squash the dynamics a little bit. I just like to use Saturn for that. And a thing I noticed is when we got this mixdown done, we got the compression and the saturation on here, we sidechained the sub to this bass drum. And yeah, to do that, let's just show you. We're gonna take our bus and we're gonna right click on this arrow down here and put sidechain to this track on. And then we're gonna put a limiter on the sub. Put it to 1 because then it's gonna recognize our bus from our kick. Gonna pull down the threshold and pull up the knee a little bit. And this will just make the sub duck when the EDM kick is playing. But now the thing that we're noticing is that it's just ducking, but the release is way too slow to get a nice kick and bass effect going on. So we're just gonna pull down the release a little bit, so it's gonna be a little bit more fast, and it's just gonna help get the bass line to punch through and the kick to punch through as well. So like this. And now we're gonna balance the volume of our kick drum in here. And we forgot to balance the snare, so we're gonna do that in the same time. The thing I'm noticing when balancing club kicks or bass drums into your buildups is that you don't need to put that club kick too loud if you have extra percussion over it. And right now we got the snare that's playing over the club kick, so we can maybe reduce the loudness of the club kick and then pull up the snare a little bit, and that snare is going to help give your club kick a little bit more presence. So try to balance that out a little bit. I'm still noticing that this bass line is just fading away a little bit, so we're gonna pull the volume off of the bass line a little bit. And now to finish the percussion side up is we're going to add the crash, and this crash is just quite easy to put in here. We're just going to put EQ in there, and it's just taking away the lows that you don't hear on the crash, and you're just going to drown this in reverb. And I just literally mean putting it open all the way in this instance. In some cases you'll have some more reverb on the crash sample, so it will add a little bit less reverb on your own. But right now we have a clean crash sample, so we want to add a little bit more of this reverb that we have in our set. And now let's balance this out in the build-up. Now I feel the guitar is still a little bit too loud, so we're going to pull this down a tiny bit. And now this wouldn't be a finished build-up without a riser, so let's add this one from Somatics, and then we got our build-up done. And adding these pre-made sample risers is just really easy. Just take away the sound, part of the sound that you don't need, so low cut it, and just balance out the volume, give it some reverb, and that's all. And we're gonna drown this a little bit in reverb, kinda around this amount. And now let's balance it out in the track. And this is how we would do my build-ups. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something from this. And hopefully I'll see you back soon again. Cheers!